Hello again. I'm working on the BMW this time. I've had this car for a couple of years now, and I've been doing a lot of rallying in a quarry where it's taken its toll. It's got fine dust that has got everywhere. So things like that, it just gets peppered. So I mean, that can clean up. What I've done is I've stripped down the brakes and given the seals, lubricate all the seals and just clean all the gunk out of it, because it was absolutely hanging. I've swapped the diff because it had a 5.4 6 plate in it before, and I've put a 4 plate 4.4 diff in it, which is really quite tight. So I've just taken it for a spin, and you can feel it doing like a 90 degree starting off on a corner. You can feel one tire's like grabbing, so I presume it's going to loosen up a bit. Yeah, so I've just done a video about what I've done and how I've done it, so I hope you enjoy. Right, I've just jacked the car up so I can change the wheel bearing, which I thought was gone. But this has got track rod ends, what they're called, rod eyes, that's it. So the way it works is this bit, which is quite bent now, goes in there. Where the tapered fitting normally goes. This bolt goes down the top. Then the rod eye goes underneath, and there's a couple of nuts that hold it together. So it's obviously had a pounding. That's got a bend in it now. So I'm wondering if I can get a stronger bolt. I had to get one of these made last time, but it's there. I just need to straighten up. I'm trying to straighten it and see what happens. Right, now it's cleaned up a bit. I've been to B&Q and bought one of these, £8. I've got the wheel nut off. It's really good. So what I'm going to do is, I haven't put the tab back over yet. I'm going to put the brakes wheel on, drop it down so the wheel's on the floor, and then I think it's 200 Newton meters. The size of them 6 pots, huge. That's a bit overkill, I think. Right, yeah, I'm gonna give this a quick clean up. You can see that they've had to take some of the bottom arm off to deal with the size of the brakes, because these brakes are huge. That's the bit I did for the rod arm. I put it that length so it was parallel with the bottom arm. So that looks pretty spot on there. But I am actually going to make these out of aluminium and cone them so they're wider at the top than they are at the bottom. And that way, it should give them a bit more strength then. Right, so I'm going to give it a quick clean and then bolt it back up. And then I've got the other side to do. The wheel bearing was totally shot, so it's nice to get a new one. And I started taking the studs out, but they were stiff. It's got a proper stud lock on it. So I had 4 spare ones, I'll just put those on. And I'll get some heat into them to get them out. I'll get them on the bench, a bit easier. Right, I'm on the other side now. I've just used my impact driver to pop that screw off. I had a plate on the top as well. You can feel the bearing's gone. I've just used a clamp to pull the pads back a little bit, just to get them over the lip on the disc. There's a bit of wear on the discs, but there's still plenty of life in them. yeah, I'm going to get the big socket on it. I've just used my chisel to knock the pin back. That was the retaining bit that you bend in, stop it coming off. Get that off, I can give it all a good clean up because it's hanging. Right, I'm just on the second side, I'm just cleaning everything up. I've changed the wheel bearing, but the retaining bolt that's supposed to fix the disc to the hub is nowhere near close enough to line up. So I don't know, it lined up on the other hubs. Must be in a slightly different place. I've always rotate it and drill the hole somewhere else, but I think I'll probably just leave it and remember about it next time I take the disc, the wheel off. Right, I'm under the car now, and I've just pulled the diff off, which is not my favourite job. No, well, it's one better than putting a diff back in, because that's a horrible job. So this diff is actually a 6-plate LSD with a 5.4, I think it is, final drive. So car's good for 85 miles an hour, something like that. It's not a it was fitted to the car because it had a different gearbox, had a sequential 6 speeds with a 6th gear overdrive, so it needed a high ratio diff to work. That's a couple of interesting things. These are the bolts from the diff, and they go between the diff and the housing, so it drops the diff down 20 mil, 15 mil, something like that. So I don't know what the idea is for that. These are the mega shafts, so you can unbolt them from here, and you can this hub all stays on. It's bolted from the inside out. So these are e30 or something, I don't know, 5 series. They're toughies. They shouldn't break them, there shouldn't be a problem with them. But when you've got these shafts on, the shock hits the shaft because it's a lot bigger here. So probably easy to see on this side. That's the original strut mounting. You have to weld another one behind it. So if you see how close it is there, that's extremely close. Yeah, so you've got to move it back to get out of the way. And these have got special hubs that was made specially for a 4-stud rear end, because normally you get 5-stud E34s, which is all right for the M3 and all that, but because these are specially made, you can still use the handbrake, so it's still got the shoes that work as well. Everything in here is caked in dust, so I'm trying to give it a clean as I go. I'll have to do what I did on the front wheels. I stripped it all down, cleaned them all up, lubricated the seals and cylinders, cylinders in the 6-pot brakes on the front, so I'll do the same at the back. And just, I've got this spray stuff, which anything that's starting to go a bit brown, it'll clean it all up, keep it going. I've just cleaned the diff with it as well. So I've got another diff, which is, I've just put 4 plates in it, 4 brand new plates. So and it's a 4.4 ratio, which I think will be more suited for the engine that's going in this. So one thing that's interesting is the big slot on the rear cover. No idea what that's for, but that wasn't that tight as well. So I'd guess because it's got the spacers on here to drop it down, it's done it so the bolt probably hits in a different place. Oh, and another thing that was very interesting is there's a bit of steel that runs along here, steel angle, which is welded, and it's got a plate welded to the diff hanger. So that's the original diff hanger, and this looks like 3mm steel welded to the plate that's bolted across the rear beam, this bit here, the box section, which I've seen E30s before, where because of the vibration and the torque, it rips these and it pulls all the studs out the boot floor. So hopefully, well, I presume this has had big power 2.4 Cosworth motor in it for a long time, and it all seems to be okay. So I presume that's what saved it, which is quite a good idea. I've not seen that done before. Right, let's give it a clean up and I can put the other diff in. Right, this is a 4.4 crown rolling pinion with a 4-plate limb slip diff. It's just been rebuilt. I did that a while ago, but this is the first time I've used it. So I swapped the back plates over just because I've got a feeling that it needs a slot on there. But also, because of the bigger shafts, it's got bigger output shafts. Swap one over that side. But I'll just compare them size-wise. Yeah, considerably different. So these are off an e30 3-litre M3. And you need them to work with the shafts. And they're quite tricky to get hold of. So that one's going in here. Then I'll take these bolts out because they've got longer bolts with the spacers on there under the car, and then I can fit the diff again. Right, I'm basically doing the same on the back as I did on the front. Yeah, these are the different hubs without the nuts in the middle, so the drive shaft doesn't go through them. The drive shaft stops there onto this cup. So, yeah, slightly different. And that's how close it is to the strut. Obviously when the wheels go up, you get a bit more of a gap there. I've got the handbrake on at the moment, so I can't spin it. So we're just changing the fluid on the brakes, because I've had it a couple of years now. I've never changed the fluid, so I don't know how old it is. I'm putting in that's really good gear, that is. Motul seems to work all right. Yeah, just trying to get the dust off it, give it a clean up. And I've pushed the pistons back in on the cylinders, the pots on the caliper. I put some copper grease on the back of the pads because there's a horrific squeal. I know you get 4-pot squeal, but this is a really horrific. So we'll flush the fluid through, put some more in, and then do the other side. Weird, because the handbrake was on, that's why I was so stiff to turn. Both going the same way now. There's some clonking going on, but the backlash and all that is set to where it should be. There was crush washer, the preload was set correctly, so I think that's just what they do. I would have thought that it still would have been needed a bit more push to break free while the other wheel wasn't turning. Strange. There's I'm not sure what that noise is. It's like something's loose and rubbing against something. Yeah, the noise turned out to be the gator retaining spring. You can see it there. Every rotation it was going hit the exhaust. So that's killed that one now. So yeah, that's another set of jobs done. What I need to do is I'm changing the engine, so the exhaust is coming off. I can clean it up and paint it, because this car was basically, it was what was left available in my garage, engine wise and gearbox wise, to get it up and running. So now we're getting the Vauxhall in it. There's going to have to be quite a bit of work done, and it's going to I'm going to give it a good clean up underneath as well. I've done the essential bits, like front and rear brakes now fully rebuilt. I've got spare pads, changed all the brake fluid, done quite a bit, and it feels nice to drive. Done the front wheel bearings, they were absolutely shot. They were really loose and bad. Done the steering arm, because that's got spherical joints on it because the brakes are so big. Yeah, so quite a productive weekend.